Part of the problem with fluoride, especially if it is considered a drug, is that the dose cannot be controlled. You cannot control from person to person how much tap water they're consuming. And many times, especially in low-income areas where tap water is being used primarily as the source of water, especially for things like infant formula, you've got high concentrations of fluoride going into a very small infant body. And so the toxicity levels in the babies is extraordinary, especially in areas where people only have access to fluoridated tap water. The fluoride goes to everyone regardless of age, health, or vulnerability. So some people have kidney issues, diabetes, heart disease, thyroid dysfunction, or they're tiny little babies or frail elderly, and we're all being exposed to the same amount of fluoride, which is ridiculous, because if it truly is a medicine or a drug, as the FDA classifies, then you would be trying to dose it accordingly. As in, an infant would not get the same dose, drug, or medication as an adult would. That doesn't happen when it's just thrown haphazardly into the water system. People now receive fluoride from many other sources besides water. It's now in a lot of dental treatments. I remember even as a kid, we would take these fluoride tablets that would make our teeth turn red. It was sort of like a superficial thing, but you're swallowing the fluoride also. And fluoride is not intended to be taken internally. It's supposed to be more used topically. It's now in mouthwash, it's in toothpaste, and I will tell you the CDC, I just read the other day, the CDC quietly put out a warning on fluoride that children are using too much toothpaste with fluoride, and we're actually seeing toxicity now in children that are using fluoride toothpaste. And so the CDC has actually warned against using fluoride toothpaste in children, especially too much. Again, I don't know how they control for that, but basically that hasn't been broadcast around our mainstream media. Fluoride is not an essential nutrient. So this is not like vitamin C or B vitamins that, of course, there's recommendations. There's an RDA, recommended daily allowance. It is not an essential nutrient. In fact, it's a toxic nutrient, and we shouldn't be consuming it. This is what it says about fluoride. No disease, not even tooth decay, is caused by fluoride deficiency. This was published by the Institute of Medicine in 1997. So even the Institute of Medicine is saying there's no such thing as a fluoride deficiency, and fluoride deficiency does not cause tooth decay. Not a single biological process has been shown to require fluoride. In fact, what happens is fluoride displaces iodine in the body, and that impacts many biological processes because it basically means that things that require iodine will not function, namely your thyroid. So fluoride interferes with numerous enzymes with signals from growth factors, hormones, and neurotransmitters. So it impacts brain chemical function, hormone balance, everything. Natural levels in mother's milk is very low. So I want to ask you guys, if you think that this is something that we needed, don't you think God would be having high amounts of it in mother's milk for the baby? We don't have that. So that, again, is another indicator that this is not a needed nutrient, okay? We don't need to be adding this toxin. It actually accumulates in the body. So when you consume fluoride, an adult will only eliminate about 50 to 60% of it, which means you over time will accumulate it. It will very often accumulate in nerve, thyroid, and bone tissue. Over time, if it accumulates in the brain, it actually calcifies the pineal gland, which affects the regulation of the entire body. It also calcifies and creates Hashimoto's in the thyroid. It displaces iodine, which means it hammers your ability to manufacture hormone, thyroid hormone. And if it builds up in the bones over time, what we find is that as we get older, we become more likely to have bone fractures because we have a hardening of the bone tissue. Amazing. No health agency in fluoridated countries is monitoring fluoride exposure or side effects. They just started putting it in and like left it to whatever. I don't know. No one is actually monitoring this. There's never been a single randomized control trial to demonstrate fluoridation's effectiveness or safety. So it's a drug, according to the FDA, that doesn't have a single randomized controlled trial on its efficacy or safety. Blows my mind. So I hope you enjoyed this part of our fluoride hazards, dangers, and toxins series. Please join us for the next part.